Hi, welcome back. It's been a hot minute since I've put a video out. Um, Here in Florida, we have the dog days of summer and it gets super hot. And at my age, it's just not healthy for me to go fishing and go out on the boat. Um, it just really isn't. The fish go deep. And anyway, I prefer just to take a break during that time. And this year, my wife and I decided we're going to combat this heat, this Florida heat, this oppressive heat, and put in a pool. So I decided to do a video, put a video together on how to buy a pool, what we did. I'll show you what each step of the way, most steps of the way, and then, just put that information out there. So if you're interested in buying a pool or thinking about doing something to your backyard, kind of get an idea of what we did and what we went through. The first step to buying a pool or to getting a pool is to do your homework. Now, what I mean by that is you need to figure out what kind of pool do I want, right? How deep is it? Do I want water features? What water features do I want? Is it for, like in my instance, my wife and I, we don't have small children, so what do we want? How do you want to lay it out? How much room do you have? How much space? All of these things start putting together an idea of what layout you want for your pool. Do you want a rectangular? Do you want free flowing? Anyway, so once you have an idea of exactly what you want, then you can begin researching companies, which is the next point. You want to look at companies in your area, look at their past work. If they have pictures or videos out there, try to get an idea of, what's the quality of their work. Read the reviews. Were people happy? Were there complaints? How did they address the complaints? I mean, inevitably, when you put together a big project, there's gonna be things that creep up along the way. How do they handle that? How do they resolve those things? It's important. So do your research. How long does it take? How long does it take for them from start to finish to build a pool on average? When can they start? If you were to go under contract with a pool building company, when would they put you on the schedule to begin? All of these things you need to think about. Once you've kind of broken it down into, say, 5 companies, for example, then make some phone calls, get some bids, have them come out, tell them your plan, tell them what you want, get their bids. Because this was probably the most shocking part for me, because I had 5 different companies. I used the exact same layout. The very first company I went with provided me like a 3D rendering of this is what I described what I wanted, and he put this together, and I used that same rendering to the other 4 companies that I went with. It was a huge disparity in pricing for one. When I say huge, there was $40,000 swing, and no idea where that additional cost was coming from. Anyway, do your homework, get the bids, check out, make sure that you're comparing apples to apples, right? So it's fair to them, it's fair to you. If you say, I want water features, I want this dimension, I want a covering, an enclosure. Like, for example, I'm in Florida, so an enclosure is like a must have, in my opinion, because we have bugs and lizards and alligators and everything. So you kind of want to keep that at bay. So definitely want to make sure that when you're bidding the pool and you're talking to these companies, that you're using the same outline each time. Once you get the bids in, then you kind of figure out your budget, right? Because I can tell you it's going to be a shock to your system. The cost of pools, at least here in Florida, are extremely expensive. To me, it's expensive anyway. I was really surprised. So to give you an idea, so when you get those 5 bids, you can kind of get a ballpark figure of where you're going to fall in. And that's going to be your budget. You need to set your budget because this is a base pool they're going to give you a quote for, right? When I say a base pool, it means it's going to be without water features or limited water features. The decking's probably going to be pavers. The tile is going to be generic. I mean, the inside of the pool, and it's all Pebble Tech. At least here in Florida, that every pool company I went to was Pebble Tech. But you can get different colors of Pebble Tech, which are another incurred cost. They were all saline pools. You can't just get a straight chlorinated pool like my pool I had in California. So if you want to get like a water heater, a gas water heater, or some other, if you want fully automated system with lights, special water features and all that, those are incurred costs. So you kind of got to set your budget. You kind of got to figure, this is how much money I'm willing to spend. Where do I get the most bang for my buck? Do I want to put more money in decking, or do I want to put more money in a water heater? Again, that's going to be individual. That's going to be up to you. And hopefully, obviously, you pick the best thing for you and your family. The next thing you need to think about is financing. You're going to pay cash. If you're going to pay cash, it's a no-brainer. You just pay for the pool. If you're going to finance, there's typically two ways to do it. One, you can get a home equity loan, which is going to be typically a lower interest rate. But again, you're taking out the equity in your home to pay for the pool. Or you can get a pool loan. And there's various companies out there that provide that at whatever the interest rate is. I don't know. It depends given day. But you can get all this. You can start calling, making phone calls, see what you qualify for, see what the cost would be. Insurance and stuff like that. I was surprised here in Florida. I think my yearly insurance probably went up like $500, if that, which is nominal, in my opinion, for the pool. So it definitely wasn't impactful in my decision. So once you have found your pool company, once you've gone under contract for the pool company, the first thing they're going to do is they're going to do all the licensing. Like here in Florida, the permitting. They got to file for permits and all this stuff. And then, like here in Florida, majority of places in Florida have what they call HOAs. So you have to file paperwork with your HOA and stuff. Actually, the company I went with handled all that for me. It was pretty painless. I was really pleased. They actually have a process of an app. It's called Buildertrend that they utilize that kind of gives you a weekly, a monthly calendar of when they're going to be there, what they're going to do on a given day. They're very transparent, communicative. The company I went with was called Breakwater here in Jacksonville, Florida. I think they're in Clay County. Really have no complaints. They did a very good job. But let me explain the process now that you're under contract, now that the permits have come in, you've gotten approval from your HOA. What do they do? So the first thing they're going to do is they're going to form the pool. That means they're going to put all these wooden stakes in the ground. They're going to scrape sod. Your irrigation at that time needs to be turned off or capped. If you had irrigation in your backyard, they're going to form, if your yard is sloped like mine was, they're going to build that up. And so they're basically going to prepare for the dig, for actually forming the pool, right? So the next step is going to be that they're going to dig and form your pool. So they're going to dig a big hole in the ground. They're going to put rebar down, and you'll kind of start to see, oh, wow, okay, that's what my pool is going to look like. Throughout this process, there's going to be quite a few inspections. So you're going to have, like when they put the steel rebar and they form your pool, there's going to be an inspector that's going to come out and inspect that, at least here in Florida, I assume everywhere. So that's going to be anyway, once that's passed as inspection, then they're ready to do what they call shoot the pool. That's where they take the gunite and they just blast it everywhere. Now, the company that I went through, again, Breakwater, they taped my entire house so this stuff doesn't spray everywhere. And then they shot my pool. It's pretty interesting. The whole process, it didn't take that long, but now you really start to see what your pool is going to look like. It's pretty amazing. So after they're done with that, they're going to install the lights and check the electrical. Again, this process is pretty quick, maybe a day. And then the fun part, they're going to do the decking. So the decking is when it really starts to come to life, when things start to look really clean. That's a pretty big process. Again, we went with what they call leathered marble. So here's the options that we had given to us. We had pavers, which come standard. The issue that I had with pavers is they get hot. They get hot. But anyway, so we didn't want pavers. I don't burn my feet. The next thing is travertine. They have travertine, which is like a man-made material, like almost like concrete tiles. My issue with the travertine, personal issue, is it seemed kind of slippery when it was wet. And I'm just not at the age where I get up very easily from falls. So I wasn't thinking I was going to go that way. So they also have a thing called shellac, which is kind of like travertine, but they have little teeny shells embedded in the material, and that adds like a grip to the material. It looks good, but it's kind of the color selections that we have are kind of like a creamy beige kind of tone, and that's not the look we were looking for. We wanted more about like a white or a very light gray, kind of matching our home. So it wasn't really an option. And then they had the leathered marble, which is what we ended up going with. And of course, that's white with the gray, and it's beautiful. And again, it's not, because it's organic material. You have lots. They buy lots of this, or pallets of this stuff. And if it's from multiple different things, it could have different colors and different shadings. But we got lucky. I think for the most part, ours looks really good, and I'm pleased with it. So let's see, what else do we do? Oh, after the decking is put in, then they do the enclosure. Here in Florida, as you can see, it's a pretty big deal. I love the fact that it's enclosed. I love that I can walk from my home straight into my pool area. It's like my own microclimate. Oh my gosh, it's expensive. It added about, say, at least $20,000 to the price of the pool, but I really think, especially here in Florida, that it's definitely worth the cost, because it's amazing the debris it keeps out, the bugs, everything. It's just, and again, it's like it's extending your living space, and I really enjoy that. So after they do the enclosure, the final step is going to be to plaster your pool, and that's where they come in and they actually spray the pool with the PebbleTec material. It actually looks, it's weird. It looks kind of like gray. I don't know. It didn't look like PebbleTec when they sprayed it in there. Then they acid wash it, and it turned like an orange color, and they just kind of flooded it out, and next thing you know, it's all PebbleTec underneath there, and then they immediately fill it with water. Basically, you can go swimming right then and there, once it's filled with water. So that was the whole process. Some of the things you'll see in ours, we opted for, because again, we didn't buy our pool for, like, we don't have small kids. So we opted for a bench, the length of the pool, so that anywhere we want, we can sit in it. Our pool, we only got 5.5 feet. Again, I'm not very tall, but I wanted to utilize the entire space, versus if it's like the area went to 7 feet or something, then you have to swim, and it's like a deep end. Anyway, I had that in my old pool, and so it's just basically part of the pool that you can't utilize. So since we're just more just floating around and cooling off and just relaxing in there, 5.5 is seemed like a logical number, and that's what we went with. On the other end of the pool, you can kind of see there's a water feature there. It's called a bubbler, but we put a sun deck in so that if we want to put like chase lounges in the pool, we can kind of soak, not so much now because it's not nearly as hot as it was, but in the dog days of summer where it's really hot, you kind of want to lay out and get a tan or do something. It's nice to have that splash water. And then if you do have small children, it's like a shallow, it's like a kiddie pool. It's really shallow. It's probably 6 inches deep of water at that. It's really nice. And then, of course, we, like I said, because of the layout of our yard, we ended up putting a wall in with a little water fountain feature because it just, I don't know, we like the way it looks. But that's our pool experience. That's what we did. We enjoy it. We like it. Shout out to Breakwater. I think they did it. And Tony Ronaldo was our project manager. I think they did a remarkable job. I'm pleased with them, their support they've given us. And anyway, love to hear from you guys. But that's what the old man has been doing for the last 2 months is oh, I should have mentioned that too. From the dig to where we were swimming was 2 months and 2 days, which is unbelievably quick in my opinion. Anyway, really pleased with the whole experience. Highly recommend. Anyway, that's what I've been doing for the last couple months. Next week I'm going to get back out on the boat. Hopefully Brian will join me, but we'll be back out chasing those bass. So anyway, again, thanks for stopping by. Stay safe. See you next time.